Good evening, everyone. How are you doing today? Are you excited that we are moving through, blazing through the month of April as we've done the previous months in the first quarter? Now here we are, already coming to almost to the close of the first month of the second quarter. Like, wow, where has time gone? And so I'm truly grateful, but tremendously grateful and thankful for all that God has done for us. So welcome, welcome, welcome to the Be Healed Web Show, where I am your host, Camille R. Perry. I am so grateful that each and every one of you have tuned in on tonight. Those that have already hit like in Facebook, or maybe have the comments, or for those of you that have already subscribed on the YouTube channel, if you haven't, go ahead and do that now. We're going to have an awesome day on tonight. We got an awesome guest that I had the privilege to meet recently and hear a snippet of her story. And I said, ooh, I need to have her on the show. Oh, yes. Have to. Reached out to her and she emphatically agreed to be a part of it. And that just literally warmed my heart because, like I say all the time, it's not by happenstance or coincidence when God allows us to meet and entreat with one another. We just have to be good stewards over those interactions. And so I'm excited about that. So we're going to be talking to Miss Kathalena Rios, and she's going to talk about stuck in between. But before we do that, I want to tell you a little bit about Miss Kathalena. All right. And we want to make sure that we're sharing in this. Make sure you go ahead and share alike. And one of the things that her bio reads, and it's so awesome. She starts off, she says, I'm a mom, right? The very first thing, I'm a mom. Like, she loves her children, loves her family. I'm a mom, a wife, daughter, and a servant, and a lifelong learner. And she works in the field of higher education because her and I work at Mount San Jacinto College together. As a former community college graduate, Kathalena understands how important it is in education to have that you need education to have what we see as a successful life. And so not only has she earned her multiple associate degrees, she's went on and obtained her bachelor's in human development and her master's in higher education leadership and student development. Now, listen, she's a lifelong learner, like she said. In the books, no matter where you will find her, she's there. She's studying, she's learning. But most of all, like she stated, she's a servant. Her desire is to help other people. But I want to know, and I'm sure you want to know, that's why you tuned in on tonight, what it means to be stuck in between. So without further ado, let me bring Miss Kathalena Rios into our room. Welcome to Be Healed, my dear.
Hello, welcome. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited for this opportunity.
I am so happy to host you on tonight. Like, literally, I was sitting in moderating for you for the session for our professional development day, and I was just like, oh, there's more to the story. I know there is. I have to. Yeah. I want to know more, and so this is a place where I get to hear more.
Wonderful.
So I'm happy to have you here on tonight. So can you just tell me a little bit about stuck in between? What does that mean? Tell me more.
Well, I kind of struggle with, okay, when you prompt us like, what would your life story be? And I struggle with that for a minute. And I said, most of the time it's always been, I've been stuck in between. Like culturally, I come from a blended family. I'm half Mexican, half American. And, one side of the family is more, Mexican than American. And I'm in the middle. And so I'm stuck in between. And so there was that dynamic. I'm the only one between my mom and dad. And I do have other siblings. But again, I was kind of like stuck in between, And then also later on in life, it was being stuck in between knowing and doing the right things and making the right choices. Yeah. And so that played a huge role in the title Stuck in Between. And then also too, my health And so I've always been a big girl, right,
Mhm.
my whole life. And yet I felt I could do more, but yet my body would not allow me to do so, you know.
Yeah.
And after I had my daughter, and I made that choice to actually go in to have surgery, bariatric surgery. And so then now that allows me to do a little bit more. So I'm not so stuck in between there. But and
Mhm.
again, it's like every facet of my life, there's always been this element of just being stuck in, like, not quite there, but then not
Yeah.
quite the other way either.
Yeah.
So,
That oof. I'm okay because we're gonna hit those if you don't mind.
no, I don't mind.
So let's talk. Let's go in order a little bit. I'll probably deviate, knowing me,
That's okay.
but from a cultural perspective, I think oftentimes I think we move past that.
Hmm.
I think people maybe believe that it's just part of your life. Deal with it,
Hmm.
right? Like, what's so bad about it? You had the best of both worlds type thing, or the different things that people will pass off and say. How when you growing up, what did that feel like? And we'll probably marry those two together
Yeah.
as relate to your parents as well. But what did that feel like for you?
Well, I hate to say it, but I was a little bit of ashamed, living in white America where, white is right. And so then
Mhm.
I felt like I had to hide the Hispanic part of my
Mhm.
upbringing, right? And deny that side of me. And which is, I feel awful to say that now, but at least now, now that I'm older and I understand the value of, embracing that, because it is part of who I am. And so lately I've been developing, finding that newfound, pride in who I am, and my, where my grandmother has come from, and where my parents, and so yeah, it was kind of, when I was younger, I was a little bit ashamed,
Mhm.
of my Hispanic background,
Yeah.
and but now not so much, but it did affect the way I act and the way I interacted with people. I wasn't quite accepted by um, the white side of things.
Mhm.
My grandmother, who was, Caucasian, and she treated me a little bit different versus my, other family, not my other, my dad's mom, but she was great. But other folks from the Hispanic side, well,
Mhm.
I couldn't speak Spanish the way I had an accent,
Yeah.
and so then I wasn't quite accepted there either.
Mhm.
So again, stuck in between.
Yeah, that's huge, and I think that we have to be sensitive and guard our words and actions, right? We have to guard what it is that we say, what it is that we put out, because that's necessary. But as well as, like you mentioned, you felt a way, and so if you're being treated, then there must be a shame. There must be something wrong, because why would people respond like that to me?
Yes. And I got it from both ends. I remember working at a grocery store and it was a Hispanic grocery store. And again, I didn't really speak Spanish because I sounded like a güera, the white
Yeah.
girl, and I had a customer who got upset at me, like really angry, and like told my boss, and he told her in Spanish, like, tiene un nopal en la, en la cabeza. Like, basically, she's got a cactus stuck on her forehead. She should, like, I just crossed the desert. I should speak Spanish. And so I got, like I'm saying, it was from both ends. It was kind
Yeah.
of, it was something that I needed to adapt to.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Absolutely. This is good. So then let's the I do want to hit on this piece where you said stuck in between doing what is right versus doing what would necessarily maybe accepted, or talk to me about that.
Yeah. So, like I was raised in a, I'm going to backtrack just a little bit to give
Go
you some
ahead. Go ahead. Take your time.
I was raised in a really, really small town in Texas. Like, my nearest neighbor was like 6, 7 miles away. That's how small.
Wow.
And so we moved when I was in middle school. Now I'm talking like that's all I knew. I talked funny. I looked funny. When I came into the city, and I'm talking like LA County,
Hmm.
there was a culture shock there, and people, they weren't very nice to me because I was different,
Yeah.
and so I struggled a lot with trying to make friends and fitting in, and that kind of led me down a path of like getting involved with the wrong people.
Okay.
Okay, at a very young age. And so even though in my heart of heart, I was raised a Catholic, and so that sins are bad, and you stay away from the bad things, and you'll go to heaven. And if you do bad things, then you're going to hell. It was almost
Right.
like um, I don't know what the word, not like a punishment. Like it was. Sorry, I'm like the only person in the world who has a landline.
When it rang right now, I was like, "What is that?"
Yeah, that's called a landline, and
Okay.
yes, we still have one. But all the time it's like a spam risk, so I
Right.
apologize for that.
No, you're fine.
But yeah, so it was one of those things where trying to fit in, it led you to do hang out with the wrong people, and that started off at a very young age. I was like 13 years old, and like I said, growing up a Catholic and having that fear that if you don't do right, then you're
Yeah.
going to
That
hell.
guilt. Yeah.
That guilt. And so yeah, we can open up a big can of worms with that topic there. And that kind of led me to struggling with when at the age of 13, I started hanging out with the wrong person.
Yeah.
But I felt that I needed to have her in my life because, I didn't have anybody else that, would hang out with me. And that's when I started doing drugs, essentially. Okay. And so it started off, marijuana.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But then it just gradually escalated and escalated. And by the age of
Mm-hmm.
14, I was addicted to meth. Okay.
Wow.
And then from that point on, it was one of those things where, for 12 years, I was living that life. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, even though in my heart of hearts, and that was
Mm-hmm.
at 16, I had gotten pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the gentleman was, not forthcoming, did not, he's like, no, and convinced me to have an abortion. Now that's like the ultimate
Right.
sin. And I lost my self-worth. What kind of a human would I be? I'm going to hell. And so then it just triggered, it domino affected. And
Yeah.
so I struggled for, like I said, over 12 years, battling drugs, to the point where I really shouldn't be here right now.
Yeah.
I really shouldn't be here right now. And even though in my heart of hearts, like, I knew that it was the wrong thing to do, and I was not happy, but I couldn't forgive myself. And it was the only way that I could find to numb
Mm-hmm.
myself. And so again, being stuck in between of knowing I could do more and I could be more, but yet I didn't think it was worth that.
God.
Okay. And so, yeah, so stuck in between, right?
But that's so much just to like we can literally put the car in neutral and just kind of
Mhm,
like sit for a second, let the engine run, right?
mhm,
Um that is heavy. I because you mentioned you like, you start off with marijuana and then like, because we hear people say it, especially those who have never taken drugs before.
mhm.
They will always say, well, marijuana is the gateway drug.
Yes,
Do you agree with that?
yes, I do. And
Okay.
I know that there's a lot of people probably unhappy with me, especially since now it's legal and all of that stuff. But like in my experience, like it
Mhm.
just kind of that was the initiation, and it just kind of
Mhm.
triggered. It started escalating from there. Um, yeah,
All because of that one friend that you
Uh,
were hanging with, and then the
mhm.
decisions from that.
It was started from that point on, and she was all about getting the boys to like her, and then I would follow along. She liked having me around because I was a bigger girl and she was not, and so it was almost like her
Oh,
protection. And yeah, and so like I said, eventually I started getting into heavier and heavier drugs, and then like it's the first time I had tried meth, and that was it. And
yeah.
it just, like I said, it was all over from that point on.
So 12 years battling an addiction, um, and really the pain
Mm-hmm.
of not loving yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know we talk about the various addictions that individuals might have, but I think being addicted to self hate
Mm-hmm.
and self-loathing is a very strong thing, that oftentimes the symptoms of that is drug abuse and
Mhm.
various things that we see. How did you come out of that? How out of 12 years? I mean, I've seen people detox. I've seen people, you know, go cold turkey, and it's not pretty,
It's
but what made you turn that corner?
Well, I was, I guess, what you would call a functioning addict. Like,
Mm,
I hid it from everybody, and I hid it really well. I did. I hid it very well. I was totally leading a double life, again, stuck in the middle of knowing what I need to do and then not doing what I needed to do. And, I hid it from my mom, my dad. I hid it from my husband. We actually got married, and he's been a really great supporter. He's still with me to this day, even though I put him through the ringer. And
yeah.
it was crazy because I remember, because his mom, who didn't like me very much, but
Mhm.
I was messing around with her baby boy, but she had tried telling him, "Mijo, she's on drugs. She's on drugs. She's off the hook," is what we call her. She's
Mhm.
off the hook. And he's like, "No, mom, no. Look, she works. She does this." But again, I had that whole alternative life,
Mhm.
and it didn't really come into fruition to him until our honeymoon night, when we went to Las Vegas, and he caught me with an 8 ball of dope in the bathroom of our honeymoon. I ruined our wedding night completely. And at that point, he was like, "I'm not going to go down this route." He had, again, family members who had, been addicted to drugs and all that stuff. And he's like, "I'm not doing this with you. But by then we had already been together for 3 years,
Right.
you know, and at that point he was like, you need to choose, right? I'd
Mhm.
like to say that I made the right choice at that time, but I didn't. I just said, "Yes, honey, okay," and I continued on.
Wow.
And things got progressively worse and worse and worse before you get to the point before you hit that rock. You've heard it, rock bottom, right?
Yeah.
Bottom of the bottle, bottom of the barrel.
Mhm.
And this was, a good 12 years later. After now, we were still married, but I was progressively gotten worse and worse. I would just leave home for weeks at a time, just to stay out all night. And um, it got to the point where he was actually done. He called my mom and said, "You need to come and get her." It was in Arizona by this time. He's like, "I'm done. I can't do this anymore." You know. And so my mom came down to Arizona, and it was supposed to be just to be a visit, but they ended up
Mhm.
trying to do like an intervention on me.
Mhm.
Um, and she told me, "You either get in the car now, or I never want to see you again.
Jesus.
I never want to see you again." And so I knew she was serious, because she had done kind of the same thing, that tough love, with my brother,
Mhm.
um, my brother, who used to be my supplier at the time, by the
Oh, okay.
way. Okay.
You had an inside man. Yeah.
Mhm. And so she had completely cut him off for years, and so I knew she was serious.
Mm.
Now, I'd like to say, "Oh yeah, that saved me," but that
Wow.
didn't. I went along with it. I went back to California with her. I tried for a little bit to get better, and to detox and do it all. Yeah, and it didn't work out. I, again, just went back, relapsed, went back to the same old, same old. And again, finally, when I went back to Arizona with my husband, because he did take, he's like, "Okay, I'll give you another shot." Um, but I started doing the same thing. I'm out there
Mhm.
running around. This time he locked me. I didn't have a place to go, and I was sleeping in the car. I remember washing my hair in a creek one
What?
time, because I didn't have a place to go, and it just was sad. You're living the life. You're just trying to get your next score. You're just trying to get your next score. And I felt hollow and empty inside. And I
Mhm.
kid you not, Camille, I was driving in the car in the middle of the desert in Arizona, just kind of like feeling like this empty void, and just wallow. I can't describe this feeling that I had. And on the radio, there was this song that came on,
Mhm.
and it was called "I Can Only Imagine."
Oh, that's my jam.
And I pulled, oh, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. And I cried. And I cried because it just touched me. It
Yeah.
really, it was like God just reached in and touched me.
Wow.
And that moment, like with that song, you know, if that day came, and if I could only imagine if I came to
Mhm.
him and I met him,
Yeah.
um, how could, you know,
What would it be?
what would it be?
Yeah.
You know?
When I
And I
dance
was like,
before him.
or would I fall down to my knees?
Yeah. Yeah.
I, and so, I don't know what happened, but from that moment on, I had a renowned strength. I was given a
Mm.
gift after many years of this drug life, 3 miscarriages after my first abortion.
Jesus.
I was pregnant with my daughter.
Wow.
And it was like he gave me another chance, you know, and it saved me.
Yeah.
And then Camille, everything just stopped. I stopped. I didn't go to any,
Oh, thank you, Jesus.
I didn't go to any like programs or 12-step programs or nothing like that. It just, I was given the strength and I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how to explain it. Um, and that life for me stopped. And I remember, you know, going through the pregnancy and being so grateful to have this second chance, and
Mhm.
not even just second chance. This was like my
Right.
umpteenth chance at life. And I knew that it was a validation for me that yes, I am worth it.
Mm.
I should value myself. I have more to give.
Yeah.
There are so many times through that 12, 13 year lifestyle that I was living that I really honestly should not be here. I
Yes.
have come cheated death so many times.
Yes.
So yeah, I stopped as soon as I found out that I was pregnant with my daughter Raina, and that was it. That life I was living was over. And my husband and I moved out here to back to California. And like I said, when we met Camille in that training, when I said the
Mhm.
MSJC gave me, you know, that was another second chance for me, you know, because I had no real job skills. I mean, I couldn't keep a job because I'd either get caught stealing or, you know, something to supply my addiction.
Mhm.
Um, and you know, I dropped out of my first attempt of college, you know, and with like a 0.1 GPA.
Mm.
And it was one of those things where when I came back to college after, you know, having my daughter, and it was like, this was it. Like, I need to do something with my life for her.
Yeah.
And it was amazing because for someone who didn't think that had a lot to offer, had a lot to
Mm.
value, there was individuals at the college that saw something in me that I'd never saw in myself. And I did fight that imposter syndrome, and I still do. I
Mhm.
still do. And that's okay. I can own it and I know it.
Yeah.
And
Right.
you try, you know, you try to move on from that. But,
Mhm.
and then I found that yes, I found that there are a lot of people just like me
Mhm.
that maybe haven't had that calling yet, maybe haven't had that, you know,
That's good.
that intervention, that hand of God, literally that hand.
Yeah.
Um, and I know that while my story, and we're just scratching the surface. I could write a whole book. My husband's like, you need to write a book. I'm like,
I'm waiting. Like literally, you
ain't
need a
nobody gonna
forward. What
read
you
it.
need?
Ain't nobody gonna read that.
Listen, when I tell you I will have you back on here, you want to do a book tour, I'll host. What do you need? Listen.
But
Oh,
I did see that there's a lot of students at the community college
mhm.
level that have gone through trials and stuff like
Yeah.
that, and challenges and hardships. Maybe not necessarily the same as mine. And like I said, I mean, I know that there are a lot of people who had it much worse than I.
Yeah.
And then I know that there's a lot of people who never survived what, you know.
Yes.
And so being able to have the opportunity to influence and help others, um, really, it helps. give me a sense of like that I'm giving back and I'm, doing my part
Yeah.
to be that servant, because I can't waste it, right? I've been
Right.
given this opportunity. And so that's why when I'm saying like in my bio for me to move on to, it's like anybody can get a master's degree. And it's like, no, you don't understand. Like
Right.
this is huge for me. I
Yes.
never in my wildest dreams thought I would be a college graduate. And
Yeah.
now I'm considering going on to get a
Get
doctorate
a
degree.
doctorate.
It's like,
Yeah.
like who would have thought, it's a miracle.
But I'm gonna tell you right now, we about to park this car and I'm gonna throw the keys out the window because we're gonna sit here. Okay. We're gonna sit here for a minute because you just preached a whole sermon in less than 7 minutes.
Mm.
Okay. You said that you were driving feeling hollowed out, empty, worthless, unseen, and a song comes on the radio. I can only imagine by Mercy Me,
Hmm.
and begins, and you have a moment, and you said with your own words, he touched you,
Hmm.
which brings me back to an old school song they used to sing in church. He touched me, and oh, the joy that flood my soul. Something happened,
That's
and now I know he touched me and
mhm.
made me whole. That's literally.
That's just
Oh,
happened. What you just did, that was the feeling I got. It
yes,
was, and like it just was so bizarre. It was just so bizarre. And
yes, Lord. This is
and
good.
you know what's crazy though, Camille, is that the song came on a station that
Doesn't play.
should not be playing that kind of music. It was like a hip hop station,
Yes, yes,
and I'm like, why are they playing? Well, I didn't think. I mean, I think about it now,
right. But but
but at
but
the time,
but the fact that heaven. Girl, I'm trying not to shout on this. I'm so messed up because we just came out of Resurrection Sunday and we having this conversation, and I'm trying my best to keep it. But some folks who watch this show, they know me. They go to my church. They know my mama's watching. Mama two's watching. They know me, and I'm trying to be as dignified as I can. Okay, I'm trying because my mind. I mean, I know when God will cause heaven to interrupt a 93.5, a 105.9, a 99.1, and be like, hey, you got a listener today.
mhm,
Oh God, that needs to hear at the right time.
yeah, yeah,
Like
it
you
was
said, you said it, your husband couldn't do it,
nobody.
your mommy didn't do it. It was nobody but Jesus. Girl, keep talking. You're gonna have to keep talking because I'm
I
I'm
know,
getting happy.
I know,
Whew.
and it's just like I said, when I was. That's why I'm like, yeah, Cassandra, go ahead and lose it. It's all good, right?
I
Sorry, I'm
will
looking
flip
at the
this
chat.
whole thing over. Y'all be see just the bucking. Be like, what is breaking in the background?
Yeah, but
Woo,
it's
Jesus.
amazing because like I said in the beginning, where I thought that I couldn't be forgiven for the things
Ooh,
that I had done, and that ain't the truth,
yes.
you
Come on,
know.
talk about forgive. Come
I
on, talk
know,
about that.
and it's just not the truth. And you know what? This is the first time ever that I've ever shared my story with anyone,
Yeah. Thank you. Ooh,
um, because I still am afraid of folks judging, not necessarily, the only one that matters is them upstairs, right?
that's
But I'm
right.
just talking about the thing is that we live in a world of people who
Mhm.
judge.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And unfortunately those people also too could have that ability to mess with your life, which is not right, but it's just the world that we live in, right? And so
Mhm.
I've never really shared that story. For my graduate degree, I went to Cal Baptist University.
Oh yes. Mhm.
Okay. And there was an assignment that was, kind of like share your story, type of deal.
Mhm.
And I couldn't do it. And I
Mm.
cried and I couldn't do it. So this is a big step for me just to even
Yes.
share a little bit of the mi vida loca. And
Yes.
then
Ooh,
my husband, he always says, you need to, because
yes.
there's so much to it.
Yeah, okay. I'm jumping in. I don't do
Mhm.
this. I always let my guests speak. But listen, the scripture says we overcome by the words of our testimony and by the blood of the lamb. You have to share.
I know.
Somebody even watching right now who might even watch this years from, we don't know. The fact that you're sharing it, God is unlocking doors for you.
I
And
know.
here's what we have to remember: greater is he that's within us than he that's in the world. I don't care about the spiritual wickedness in high places. I don't care about these demonic spirits that want to try to take down, but my Bible tells me
Mhm.
that God causes all things to work together for the good for those who love God and called according to his purpose, not to mention that he preserves. Oh my God, Psalms 23, Psalms 91, Psalms 46. We can go on and
On
on
and
and
on.
on. Listen, he is faithful. So don't you be worried.
I
Oh,
know.
like he told Moses, don't you be worried about their faces.
Yeah.
Tell them that I am that I am. Oh God, thank you.
Yeah.
Honey, listen, the doors that are about to open for you,
Yeah.
no man can shut. No man can shut.
Yeah.
Those tears that you cried that day in Cal Baptist, you
Mhm.
don't have to cry that no more, because God said, I'm gonna give you another opportunity.
Yeah.
And he said, Jesus said, if the people don't praise me, the
Mhm.
very rocks will cry out. You sharing this
Mhm.
is of God, I thank you. Because you can't tell the story without him in it.
Mm-mm.
Oh God, thank you. Thank you.
I
Oh,
wouldn't be. I know. I wouldn't be here.
woo,
That's why I'm like. It's just. It is just. I
Jesus.
am so profoundly blessed. I.
Woo.
I just. I'm so blessed, and so I'm like I said. I know that, like you said, and that's my hope is that
Yeah.
that somewhere, someday, somehow, that me going through it, what I
Yes.
had to go through is going to help somebody, you know.
Yes. Yes.
And I think that's why my students love me
Yes.
because they're like, oh, it's Kathalena, she's
Mhm.
they can they can see themselves in me, if you will.
Yes.
I'm not beyond approach because it's just me,
Hmm.
and so it's so crazy that I'll share my stuff with my students, but when it comes to the professionals, I,
Okay.
I bottle up.
Listen, because what I'm hearing, and I let me get some decorum back here
Mhm.
for a second. When you look in the Gospels,
Mhm.
Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John, and the miracles that he performed,
Mhm.
you always had the people who didn't believe,
Mhm.
who wanted to, the Pharisees and the Sadducees, who wanted to know, why would you heal them?
Mhm.
Well, like they asked the blind man,
Yeah.
who healed you? Why they do that?
Mhm.
What? And he was like, all I know is I once was blind, but now I
Now I
can
can see.
see. So who cares? I know that man from Galilee did, and that's so regardless of those who think they have power and authority over you.
Yeah.
Oh, they don't know
They
now.
don't.
Trick Daddy told us that. They don't know now. They
Yeah.
don't know nothing. Because what God has for you, the fact that He's healed you, the reason why these students, even he sent this plus size model with no contract, chocolate girl, to moderate your session.
Yep. I
That
know.
just so happen to have a talk show. That
I know. That's what I told my husband. I'm like, dude, this is supposed to happen. This
Right.
you were
And
supposed
and I and I and I heard you hint about Jesus when you was talking. I said, "Oh,
to.
she sound like she know my savior." Oh,
Yeah, because he's mine too.
right. I'm like, you like, you don't, that sound like you talking about my man.
Yeah,
Like, hold on.
right. That's funny. I
So
know.
I heard you talking about my man Jesus, and I
Yeah.
said, "Oh, she talking. Okay, let me just see if she's interested." But here's another thing. It was a faith walk for me to send that to you,
Yeah.
because God has been dropping names in my heart
Hmm.
and putting folks in my purview, and send them, ask them, invite. And I'm like, but who wants to come on? But what? Because we as people are really good at thinking that we're not going to make it.
Hmm. Yep. Absolutely.
But God is greater than all of that. So I'm a hush now because you
Yeah.
done got me all worked up,
I know.
honey.
That's okay. That's okay. And then that's kind of like where my journey is at right now. I'm trying to get there, Camille, where it's like, um, understand, like just let it all go, right?
Yeah.
Kind of deal. And just embrace everything who I am and not worry about those folks. But yeah, so that's where I'm at right now. I'm working towards it. And this was a huge step towards that.
Yeah.
But it's amazing. It's amazing the things that we can do through him. With
Yeah. I mean, and I have to say, the enemy is going to want you to be silent.
I know. I know.
He gonna throw something at you.
Yeah.
Somebody gonna say something slick to you, and you're
Hmm.
like, "See, I'm never." But I have a funny feeling and a sneaky suspicion you're gonna have that same testimony that Jeremiah had when he said he wasn't gonna tell nobody else about what God has done and wasn't gonna prophesy and preach no more. Jeremiah said it was like fire
Hmm.
shut up in his bones.
Hmm.
What you have, you can't carry that. That's like holding a baby in your womb for 18 years.
Yeah.
You can't do it.
Ouch. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
if you need to come on here every week
It,
and tell a little bit more.
and it's so funny because so now, okay, my daughter is 14, going to be 14 in May.
Okay, May
So we're
what? Not a May baby.
May 5th.
Okay, she almost got cool. She almost was
Mhm.
cool.
So I'm talking of like 14 years
Yeah.
plus of not sharing. Because I mean, I stopped when I found out
Hmm.
I was pregnant with her. So
Hmm.
we're talking about over 14 years of me keeping this in and not sharing my testimony and
And it
sharing.
and it hurt.
It does.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I feel good now. Like I kind of
Okay.
feel like, you know,
Okay.
and so yeah, which it's like I said, that's my next step. It's been baby steps, but that's where I'm at now. And I just thank you so much for allowing me to come and share,
Of course. Of
because it's really big on my growth journey,
yeah.
is to be able to be here and share authentically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thank you. I thank you. I thank God that we both were obedient.
Mm-hmm.
And what does the scripture say? If we're willing and obedient,
Mm-hmm.
we'll eat the good of the land.
Yeah.
And we both have been willing. Okay, God, I'll do it. If you open up the door, I'll do it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And meanwhile, we're like, okay, I hope he never opens it.
Don't open the door. Secretly, yeah.
And then he was like, "Pow!" Door open, right? And then you be like, well, I got to walk through because I said I would, right? I want to be obedient.
That's exactly,
So,
exactly.
but I will tell you this: when you mentioned about being young and addicted to meth,
Mm-hmm.
I remember being a junior. No, I was a senior at Ontario High School,
Mm-hmm.
and I was heading out of because I only did half the day because I worked full time. I graduated a semester early, so I was just really just going there to hang out with friends,
Mm-hmm.
and then head out. And I stopped by the young ladies' restroom, which I normally wouldn't do because it's not the cleanest one. I would normally go in one in the principal's office, right? And I was in there, I was getting ready to come out, and I heard a commotion of young women coming in. And you could hear one like wailing. And I mean, she just sounded like she was going through all these motions. She was sitting on the toilet, and another young girl was sitting on the floor, and
Mm-hmm.
another young lady was lookout. And she was like, "Come on, baby, you can beat this. You can beat this. It's okay." Doors popped all open and everything, and I look and I said, "What's going on?" Well, she's coming down. What do you mean? She's like, I'm thinking she got a fever,
Yeah,
flu,
you would the
right?
ladder or what? Yeah.
She was coming off of, I guess she had was getting off of meth or
Mhm.
maybe hadn't binged in a while, and she was feeling those withdrawal symptoms.
Mhm.
And the girl had to be a freshman, had to make no more than a sophomore. And I still think every now and then about that situation. Because
Mhm.
again, I'm 18 at the time. I don't know what to do.
Mhm.
Outside of praying,
Mhm.
that's all I knew to do was to pray for this young girl.
Mhm.
But I think to myself, what if that young woman, probably grown, definitely grown woman by now,
Mhm.
might not even have known it was me. I
Mhm.
never even knew her name, but she happened to be on YouTube tonight
Mhm.
and saw this and heard, that you and heard your testimony.
Yeah.
And maybe she's wanting to be set free. Or maybe you have a teenager
Mhm.
or a young person who has been wondering if they're worthy. They've been feeling the guilt. I wasn't Catholic, but I sure enough had Catholic guilt according to the definition of it.
Yeah.
But because people will make you feel that God doesn't love you.
Yeah. Mhm.
But when you have that time with him,
Mhm.
and like you said, he told you you were worth it. We
Mhm.
sing a song now. You thought I was worth saving.
Mhm.
So you came and gave your life. Like, oh, listen, when you're ready to do your book and your book
Okay.
tour, I got music
Okay.
all for your chapters.
All right.
I got you. Okay. We're gonna layer this thing with some tracks. It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
But like a 7-layer dip.
I
But
know.
it's Kathalena, this is remarkable. I believe somebody can share this with a family member, friend, co-worker, whoever it might be,
Yeah.
and hear the words of how it was at that moment. And what I keep thinking about when you said you were hollowed out, you were empty so he could
Mhm.
fill you up.
That's it. That was it. And I can't explain that feeling that I got, but it was so, like I said, I had no strength before.
Yeah.
And and it was instantaneous. It was
Yes.
just so crazy.
It's
Um,
oof, thank you, Lord.
and so that's yeah, just amazing. It's just amazing.
He's such a good God.
I know. I'm just like, so I'm just so blessed to be able to be here right now. And like you said, I do hope that by me sharing and that it does help someone somehow, some way.
Yeah.
And and I'll continue doing my part to share.
Thank you.
Because
Yes, yes, it
it
is.
doesn't do anybody any good keeping it to myself.
No, it does not. It does not do you any good. And I am committed. And I've already get what's so funny is I already gave your name this morning.
Mm-hmm.
When they asked me, we're doing a panel
Mm-hmm.
for trials, from trials to triumph,
Mm-hmm.
celebrating the success of BIPOC women,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we're doing that on May 12th, I believe, at the school in the
Mm-hmm.
900 building in Menifee.
Oh, okay.
I already gave your name this morning.
Oh
Sure
Lord.
did. I gave, and you know how much on credit I did that. I was like, yeah, and I gave your name this morning. They said we
Okay.
need more. We need more classified professionals. Okay, here's one. So I'm committed to continue to do that.
Good. And I'll
And
commit. I'm going to commit to saying yes.
that's right. As
I'm
long,
going to walk through that
yeah,
door, right? I mean,
yes.
so.
Yes. Follow after him. Well,
Mhm.
thank you so much, Kathalena, for tuning in tonight. And thank you, each and every one of you that stopped by and commented that hopefully you shared this. If you haven't already, please do. Whether privately or publicly, share this. If you're watching on YouTube, hit subscribe. And if you need to rewind it to figure out why Camille got loud and crazy for a few minutes, listen, play this all over again so you can hear for yourself this awesome testimony, this dynamic woman of God who is speaking from a place of true deliverance and has been set free from the bound of addiction, of pain, of doubt, not loving herself, and now she's walking in the boldness that only Christ can give.
Amen.
So I can only imagine what God is going to do for you next. Okay.
I can't wait.
Yes, the scripture says, eyes have not seen,
Yeah.
ears have not heard, neither has it entered into the hearts of men the good things that God has in store for those who love him. And
Mhm.
I believe you love him on today. So he
Mhm.
got some good things coming your way. And if you love him as well, he has great things coming for you. So be blessed. Of course, we have our women's conference that is coming up. August will be here before you know it, ladies. So make sure you register at BeHealedConference.com. We might see Kathalena there. We don't know. That is the start of a new semester. So I don't know how she'll be able to make that happen. But Be Healed 2022 is happening August 18th through the 20th. And again, the title for this amazing conference is You're Gonna Live, right out of Psalms 118, verse 17. And we know that God has plans for us to live, that we might declare the works of his hands. So we're excited for what's to come. So we bless you. We thank you so much, Catherine. Again, Kathalena, thank you so much again for tuning in with us on tonight. May God bless you. May God keep you. Kathalena, hang on with me for a second,
Mhm.
and then we'll talk after. But for all you all that's watching, we will see you, if the Lord says the same, next week, same time, same channel, for Be Healed Web Show with our special guest, Miss Shanique Cotton. It's going to be an awesome time. You all be blessed.